by a distinguished leader in the world of technology and entrepreneurship. With a career spanning over 25 years.
The whole and soul. So I was taking care of everything right from client acquisition to the final delivery. Is when the team gained a confidence that probably I should move on to becoming a co-founder. See, entrepreneurship was always very close to my heart because I was, then doing it for 2
Hello, everyone, and welcome to FaceTime with Leaders, a podcast series by Directors Institute, World Council of Directors. I'm Tanay All, and today we are thrilled to be joined by a distinguished leader in the world of technology and entrepreneurship. With a career spanning over 25 years, Dr. Khanchandani has made an incredible impact across global markets from India to the USA and Singapore. As a startup mentor, co-founder, and AI expert, she has transformed businesses and empowered countless entrepreneurs to reach new heights. Her expertise in digital transformation and passion for guiding the next generation of startups truly set her apart. Thank you for joining us today, ma'am, and welcome to FaceTime with Leaders. Your presence is truly appreciated.
Thank you so much, Tanay. It's really a pleasure and a privilege, I must say, that I have been given this opportunity to share my journey and whatever insights that I may have gathered during this journey with with entrepreneurs who are early stage entrepreneurs or probably entrepreneurs who have already made their mark. So whatever I can contribute, I think it's my pleasure and my privilege.
Lovely, ma'am. Ma'am, your career journey has been nothing short of remarkable, from starting as a software engineer to rising to the role of CTO and now serving as a mentor for startups across the globe. You work in diverse markets like India, the US, and Singapore, and I imagine these experiences have played a significant role in shaping your leadership style. Could you walk us through the key moments in your career that define this transition and discuss how working across such varied regions has influenced your approach to leadership?
So my journey began in 1997 when I completed my BTech, and like any like any aspiring software engineer, the ultimate goal at that time was to be someone who can be employable in a market apart from India. Of course, the journey has to start from India. I spent 3 years with a very good, MNC, that is Syntel India, which shaped my future or my career as a software engineer to start off with, because that is what I was aspiring to be all the time. So when I started off in Syntel India, to be very frank, I joined at an opportune moment when we were just approaching the year 2000. So at that point in time, for software engineers, the main role was how do you ensure that all the software systems, they are capable of switching from 1999 to 2000.
Yeah.
That is something for a layman, it would be like only it's a matter of just, changing that 19 to 20. What's the big deal? But ask me, been there, done that, changing that 1999 to 2000 in all software systems, be it banking systems. That time I was working on a project with Syntel. The client was AIG. So, the huge mainframe systems that they had created, and, the change from 1999 to 2000, it sounds very complicated. It sounds very, awe-inspiring. But come to think of it, when I started my career, I was just pressing two keys on the keyboard. I was pressing F5 and F6. Wherever there was 1999, I was changing it through the year 2000. Now, that is something that didn't really teach me so much, but the code that came behind it, the strategies that were working, that was something that changed my outlook towards the entire software engineering domain. That such a small thing, and it has such a lot of strategy behind it today. Even though I'm just doing F5 F6 and I'm changing the year, the strategy that my managers are working behind it, that is something that is out of the world. So I was there in that transition, and I think I'm privileged to be part of that transition. And that is the transition that made me take my next step, which was being employable as a software engineer in the US. So I got my first opportunity where I was employed with Delta Airlines in Atlanta. That was my very first flight in my life, and that flight was from Mumbai to Atlanta directly. And I think that changed my life. That was the second milestone, I guess, that changed my life. Where working in the US is concerned, the culture was very different from what it was in India. Since I was born and brought up in India, I had not seen a world outside, but there, the culture was very different. I'm very happy to say that there was a very warm welcome, even though I was one of the juniors, but it was such a warm welcome from people out there. Something that took me by surprise was uh, everybody used to smile to everybody. So even if I'm meeting you for the first time, I was telling you good morning and I was smiling. That is something that we don't do in India. So that was something that took me by awe. And where the work culture was concerned, it was absolutely fabulous, with people supporting me in my software engineer role. Moving on, when I moved on from software engineer to team leader, that was in Singapore when I joined Reuters Asia. Again, the culture there was slightly different, but again, very warm, very welcoming. Yes, I did have a problem when suddenly people started speaking in Chinese in meetings and in conferences. So I had to say that you have to translate it for me. So yeah, those were experiences which like literally crafted my personality. I would say that jump from India to abroad was something that changed me as a person, taught me to be more independent, to work with different kinds of cultures, different kind of people. So I'd say that shaped me to what I am today.
Ma'am, that's a really inspiring journey, and it's covered the globe, it's covered different roles, so that's lovely to hear. Ma'am, your entrepreneurial journey has been very impressive, starting with Infoheights systems and leading to your role at Financial Hospital. What inspired you to establish Infoheights, and how did those experiences prepare you for driving digital transformations at Financial Hospital? Could you share some key challenges you faced at both organizations and how you overcame them?
So here's the thing. After Singapore, when I came back to India, like I had got married during that time, and when I came back to India, I was very clear. I had my daughter in 2002. At that
Mm.
point of time, I was very clear that as a mother, I wanted to be there in the formative years of her life. So, having traversed, worked in India, having worked abroad, I felt I had good enough exposure as a software engineer, as a team leader, to start my own business, so that the primary purpose of being there with my daughter in her formative years could be satisfied. And at the same time, I didn't want to lose a hold over my career, which I had worked so hard on. So that was my inspiration to start off my journey as an entrepreneur, as a web developer to start off with. Uh, Till then, I had always been guided by my leaders, by my managers. And suddenly it was a world out there for me where I was even talking to clients for projects, not just talking to them, understanding their projects, but also doing the projects myself. I was the whole and soul. So I was taking care of everything, right from client acquisition to the final delivery of the project. So I was doing it all. And yes, there was this child by my side who I had to take care of simultaneously. So again, that was a very transformative experience, and I became an entrepreneur by choice. And yes, it was difficult because I was managing multiple roles in my life at that point in time. But today, when I look back, I thank myself that I put in that effort with the support of family members and everything. I put in that effort. I used to take up projects and give people websites, create websites at that point of time. And slowly and gradually in my entrepreneurial journey, I also started completing the pipeline for these clients by not just creating their websites, but also marketing it for them. So that was a new learning for me. I was always a software developer. I did not know about the M of marketing. So, but having said that, there was this client who wanted me to do it. And incidentally, there was this client whom I had never met before. He was in Portugal, and it was his request that, Anu, if you could do this for me, it would complete the entire circle. I would not have to look for somebody else. So that is how, I gradually transitioned from being a software developer to also being a digital marketer, and ensuring that my client gets everything from end to end. And as I took up more roles, I knew that I could not do everything myself. So what I did was, at that point of time, it was hard, but there was this website called getafreelancer.com. So I reached out to software developers over there, and I was working remotely with not just software developers, but also with clients remotely across the globe. There were software developers who were doing the development. I was taking care of digital marketing. Then I started employing digital marketers also. So that is how Infoheights Systems took up its shape. And in the year 2015, I was approached by Financial Hospital. They were a legacy finance company. They were into mutual funds and stuff. And incidentally, I knew the owner on a very personal level. He's a CA. So I knew him on a very personal level. And he said that, Anu, you are into this. And now I know that I have to take my business digital. Otherwise, I will lose out. And that is when he approached me and said, how can you help me take my business digital? So again, there were two aspects to it, building the platform and also doing the digital marketing. And he said, I have a team. So I was very happy that, yes, there is a team, and, I will be working with this team. And when I walked into the office on the first day, I saw that the team consisted of just two digital marketers. And these were very basic, student-like people, young people. And I said that, okay, now I'll need to do a lot of work over here to, take this legacy business online, which is a very big challenge in itself, considering the fact that I did not know what mutual fund means. So that was my first step into learning finance, understanding finance, creating a platform and marketing it. So my journey in Financial Hospital started with these two digital marketers. It moved on to a place where I had 30 people on my team, all software developers, digital marketers. I had the absolute pleasure of training them from scratch, because considering the fact that we were bootstrapped, I had to hold on to the finances. So we hired, we hired freshers. I had the privilege, and I absolutely look back upon that time as a very happy time where I was learning and training people at the same time. So I guess my journey from Infoheights to starting off as an entrepreneur and to CTO of Financial Hospital, I think it was the most pleasurable aspect of my entire career.
Lovely, ma'am. Your story is really inspiring. Ma'am, co-founding Fintoo marks a significant milestone in your career. What was the vision behind creating this wealth tech advisory platform, and how did you navigate the challenges of establishing a unique identity in the competitive financial services landscape? Can you share some of the innovative strategies you employed to make Fintoo stand out?
So actually Financial Hospital was the company that was into financial distribution of products like mutual funds and stuff. And again, during that time only, SEBI released a notice where they said that whosoever wants to advise on financial planning, they must have this license called registered investment advisor. So as Financial Hospital, we knew that we were mutual fund distributors. We could not be qualified to advise people on finances at the same time, because, it would be a conflict of interest kind of a thing. Yeah. So we branched out into Fintoo, where we got ourselves an RIA license. And it was at that time that I moved on from being a CTO of Financial Hospital to being a co-founder of Fintoo. So these two companies are at arm's length. And I created the digital Financial Hospital. I made it tangible somewhere. I gave it some shape. And that is when the team gained a confidence that probably I should move on to becoming a co-founder of Fintoo, which would now focus on wealth tech advisory. And wealth tech, frankly, was a term that was coined while we were making this transition. So I happened to come across this term WealthTech, and I was so happy that whatever we have been envisioning is actually this, it is actually WealthTech. So I actually saw my vision being connected to something tangible, which was already happening abroad. So I was very inspired by the way that Charles Schwab, Vanguard, these companies abroad were creating robo-advisors, technology platforms for advising people on financial planning, which was very inspiring, which inspired me to learn more about financial planning as a domain in itself, rather than just mutual funds, prescribing a platform for mutual funds, which we were doing in financial hospital. So I learned a lot about wealth tech. I learned a lot about robo advisors. There was a time that I told the team that, technology is in place now. Digital marketing is in place now. There are 30 people with their own managers who know what needs to be done. I told them to give me a sabbatical, a learning sabbatical. I went back on on the drawing board, and I started planning this journey for Fintoo. So, exactly how the robo advisory platform would look. And after I came back from my sabbatical, I came to the team with a chart which was 6 feet by 6 feet. So I took this chart to them, and this chart had a complete drawing of what this wealth advisory platform would look like. And at that point in time, people were like, where do we start? Because there is this huge platform which has a mind map which says that, this is how the wealth advisory platform should look like. So the team was actually very shocked, and they didn't know where to start. But we with the help of the finance team, which was in house, we had finance expertise in house, we had CAs, we had financial planners who sat down with us and broke this up into an actual understanding, into actual modules, and then we started development on it. We created an entirely new team. The technology that was being used again in financial hospital, we had to refurbish it, because the world was moving ahead, the technology world was moving ahead, the finance world, the fintech world was also moving ahead. So we created an entirely new team for this, and it was at that point of time that I the team came back and told me that you probably created a very big rift inside two teams. You have created two teams. This team wants to come to that team and all that. So that was something that I cherish to look back, because those were formative steps that we took in Fintoo to move from to not move, I would say, but to create an alternative arm's length organization. And these two organizations together could be the answer to financial advisory. So, we start advising clients using technology, and we also help them invest using technology. So, what more would an end user want, to somebody who does not understand how to make my money work for myself, now had a complete platform where they were told where you should invest, why you should invest. We understand your goals, then advise you to invest, and we also give you a platform where you can actually go and do the investments. So I think that was something that really made me feel as if I created something from scratch to a tangible entity. So I guess that is where, I moved on from CTO to co-founder of Fintoo.
Great, ma'am. That truly shows innovation can really break
Absolutely.
industries and get something new. And if you think about it, and if you are probably the pioneer and one of the starting minds in it, then you can create anything.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Ma'am, your achievements have been nothing short of inspiring, with recognitions like being named a LinkedIn Top Entrepreneurship Voice and a nomination for Best Startup Coach of the Year in 2021. These accolades speak volumes about the impact you've made in the startup world. However, I'm curious, how have these recognitions influenced your approach to mentoring and consulting? And have they shaped the way you guide entrepreneurs on their journey?
So, see, entrepreneurship was always very close to my heart, because I was, then doing it for 2 decades, and And there was a lot of learning that was involved. My entire journey has been those of learnings. I'm still learning today a lot. So these learnings, somewhere I felt I wanted to share these learnings during my stint at Fintoo itself. I parallelly wanted to share all my learnings. So I set up this website called thegraycells.com, and I started sharing my learnings over there. So initially it was just my entrepreneurship learnings as a blog, which were going onto this website. And I saw that people were very keen on learning. My own team was learning from it. There were people who were, when I was sharing things on social media, they felt very happy and they said that, yeah, they want to learn more, and probably could I write something about this? Could I write something about that? That gave me an inkling that, sharing my knowledge is not just helping people, but it will also help me establish a personal brand for myself as an entrepreneur and as a coach, probably because I had moved on from becoming an entrepreneur to be able to help people out. So there, I got myself certified as a coach because, being a coach to people by just writing a blog or talking to them is way different from being actually qualified and knowing how you are supposed to teach people. What is the right way to teach people? So I got qualified as a coach while I was in Fintoo. I was also doing that because this was something which was becoming my passion slowly and gradually. And after I started sharing blogs, it struck me that why not share this entire journey that I had in Fintoo, right from idea validation to marketing to branding. Why don't I share this in a proper framework? What I did was I created a course out of it. And I based it on this framework, which I still refer to as the 7-step startup success formula. So I created this entire digital course and I hosted it on the Gray Cells, and it got a very good, traction on it. So there were around 50 startup founders who registered for this course initially when, I reached out to people. So somewhere I felt that, yes, probably I am making a difference now by moving on from blogs to actually giving this a very structured approach that, follow these 7 steps and you can create your own startup. So that is when I started even sharing a lot of content on LinkedIn, which helped me, achieve the top entrepreneurship voice, which was a good recognition, made me feel happy, but also helped me increase my reach somewhere where people started recognizing that probably, yes, I am making a little bit of a difference here and there by contributing to people's problems, especially early stage entrepreneurs, since they are close to my heart. So there I felt that, yes, I was helping them out. And once this course was in place, and when I started talking to people, they said that, why don't you help me one-on-one? I have done your course, I have learned, but every industry, every startup has its own story, has its own challenges. I can generalize it to a point, but beyond a point, they needed very close help. So that is when I realized that now is the time to move on from Fintoo, because I had done what I could. I had established the platform. I had given it its launch pad, and now there were people in Fintoo who could take it ahead. So I completely, moved on from Fintoo to, although I will still say that Fintoo is the closest to my heart till date, but and I still keep talking to the team regularly, but now, I moved on to the Gray Cells completely, where I, apart from the blogs, apart from the course, apart from one-on-one mentorship, which I started with founders, I also wrote the book, The 7-Step Startup Success Formula. And I guess that is what helped me get nominated for the Best Startup Coach of the Year in 2021. And I guess, these steps that I have taken, the framework that I defined, somewhere has helped me help entrepreneurs in a better way, so that especially early stage entrepreneurs to define their approach towards entrepreneurship rather than just jumping randomly into it. And things like financial modeling, valuation, which are not my forte because I'm not, qualified to do that. Now I have started creating associations with companies who actually do that. So that is where my learning grew, that, things where I have my limitations, but it blocks the pipeline for an entrepreneur to reach that point where he makes himself or herself investor worthy. There I have started establishing connections with companies who actually help these entrepreneurs. Once they've established their basics, they help them do their financial modeling, valuation. And then I am also connecting to investors now to take these pitch decks to investors. So I guess that is all that has helped me complete the entire life cycle of an entrepreneur, early stage entrepreneur, right from idea validation to presenting himself to an investor.
Lovely, ma'am. Ma'am, Indian startups are making waves on the global stage. With your vast experience in global markets, how do you see Indian startups adapting to the increasing importance of ESG and corporate governance? And what do they need to focus on to remain competitive in this evolving landscape, especially as investors and customers prioritize these elements?
So yes, you very correctly said that investors are now prioritizing this to such a great extent that it has set minds thinking that
Yeah.
not just from the point of view of ensuring that I impress an investor today, but the fact that will my startup really make a difference to the world outside? And believe me, uh, from my journey in Fintoo, when I started talking to investors, when I started pitching Fintoo, when I had moved on from technology to a co-founder to the core, where I was just pitching Fintoo more than creating Fintoo or maintaining Fintoo. So when I started speaking to investors, I actually understood the relevance that investors are looking for in the platform. How are you making a difference was a very common question that investors put out to us. And apart from saying that this is what is making money for my company, there was a lot more that you were expected to contribute through whatever platform that you were creating. And that is when we actually set up a meeting to understand how are we making a difference today by creating this financial planning platform. Where Fintoo was concerned, we then conducted a lot of webinars. We reached out to a lot of communities where we started helping out, single women or, women who were widowed recently who didn't know how to manage their finances. And when we gave them this financial planning platform, they really felt happy that I'm now understanding what I'm actually wanting to do with my money. And probably till now I had not looked at my money, but now I'm looking at my money from a different perspective, and you have made it easy for me to understand what it is. So creating that social impact really helped a lot, not just to those people, but made us feel good as a startup who was making a difference. And in the same way, now I see other startups that I'm supporting. There is this founder who is very keen on his business of cleaning solar panels. Now, where cleaning solar, we know that solar is going to make a difference where the environment is concerned. Focusing your business on a niche aspect of developing this machine to clean a solar panel in a most efficient way is something that you are not just bringing a cost efficiency into the entire process, but you are actually making a difference to the environment by focusing on such a niche which nobody has actually thought about. That you all have solar panels in place, but how do you clean them? And if you don't clean them, they lose their value. So these are companies whom I just want to support, without any profits in mind or without any benefits in my mind. How can I help this person to create a difference? So I think that is not just becoming relevant, but now it is becoming critical that whatever you're doing is making a difference to the environment. So again, just to give you another example, which I was just talking to, a founder early in the morning. Actually, I am a co-founder in that startup. I was so interested that, she wants to make a difference to homemakers using her platform, which is the Bakers Junction. So today we were talking about this campaign of homemaker to home baker. So there are homemakers who really want to make a difference by starting to make their own money from home as well as taking care of their home. So, giving them an entire AI-enabled platform where they should be able to learn baking, take this baking out to, get orders and stuff, and thus create a career for themselves at home. I think that is something that can really make a difference.
Yeah.
So, I think companies are really moving on where ESG is concerned. Awareness is increasing. The fact that their startup can make a difference makes them feel good about themselves. I think that should be the driving force where ESG is concerned for any startup, for that matter.
Very well said, ma'am. I think everyone's now looking at new businesses from the go green perspective as well. And if we can give opportunities to people from different sectors, it'll just help the country grow. Like you said,
Absolutely, absolutely.
homemakers can provide so much more. They already do, but with these things, they can do so much more and get that probably
It's like,
feeling of content.
yeah, a feeling of content that yes, I am taking care of my home because that is something only I can do.
Correct.
And at the same time, where my passion is concerned, and probably if I'm looking at someone who's going out there and making money, and I want to do the same for myself while taking care of my home, and if somebody can help me make that happen, I think that is where you really make a mark.
Uh, and I think we all are moving towards skill sets now, right? Particular
Yes.
skill sets from generalization and just going for general jobs. And from the time we went for government jobs, now
Yes.
we are moving to very specific skill sets, like you said about the solar panel and how
Yeah.
it's a niche that someone's trying to look into, and that's lovely to see.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Ma'am, you've accomplished so much as an author, mentor, and leader in the startup ecosystem. With your experience guiding so many entrepreneurs, I'm curious, what legacy do you hope to leave behind for the next generation of entrepreneurs? And what's the lasting impact you want your work to have on the entrepreneurial community?
Well, yeah, I have started thinking about legacy this year since I achieved this milestone of becoming 50. So I started realizing that yes, now I am qualified as somebody who should start looking behind at her legacy. That what am I leaving behind for
Yeah,
uh, entrepreneurs to learn from. So, see, I come from a family of teachers. So my mother had been a teacher and a principal. My sister is still a teacher, and somewhere this passion for teaching has always been there in me. So by being a person who can very effectively communicate what entrepreneurship is all about, be it via my book, my first book, which is the 7-step startup success formula, or future books which I plan to write, because once I wrote one book, it became like an addiction. The kind of accolades that it got me, the kind of content that it got me, it became kind of an addiction that I want to write more. And of course, people coming up and saying that when is your next book coming up? I mean, that makes me feel that yes, that is something that I really need to pursue, because that is something which will be a black and white legacy that I leave behind for entrepreneurs to refer to. And, coming from the technology, background, I know that this legacy cannot be one book written in the year 2024. It has to
yeah.
be a book every year, because technology is something that is moving so fast. And, if I don't keep pace with it, I will not be able to leave a legacy behind with it. So that is why learning has always been a part of, my daily routine. And this learning is what I wish to translate and leave behind as my legacy. And hopefully, the courses that I am creating, I like recently, initially I had created courses based on the 7-step startup success formula. Now I decided to add a touch of AI to each step in the journey. So, that is going to be the next series of courses that I plan to release, and, which can help entrepreneurs today and down the line, I hope, for times to come. And one promise I am making on this video is that, knowing my passion for writing, I will be releasing a book every year. Till the day I am alive, I will be releasing a book every year where, I can make a difference. So yes, my blog, my courses, my books that I'll be releasing, and of course, the one-on-one mentorship that is really helping out early stage entrepreneurs. I hope that that is something that will carve the way for entrepreneurs and make it easy for them, because it is so difficult to it is so difficult for entrepreneurs to understand things, do things by themselves, to literally roll up their sleeves and get their hands dirty and get things moving for themselves. Um, that is something that I wish to really bring to the table. Just one thing I thought, that is really important is the aspect of funding, because most entrepreneurs whom I have spoken to, they consider funding to be their biggest challenge. And day one, they decide that, what do I do to reach out to investors so that they can help me out with my journey. Now, this is something that I really want to research on, and I want to create a legacy behind that. Bootstrapping is the first step to funding. If you are not bootstrapping, I don't think that you should have a right to go ahead and ask an investor for money. Till you have not spent your own money, till you have not ground yourself in trying to make a mark without taking a single paisa from outside, till you have not done that, I don't think you are qualified to go to an investor and say that I will make good use of your money. So that is a legacy that I want to leave behind, because in Fintoo we had done that. In all other startups that I am working with, I am encouraging them to do that. And in my own journey, as the founder for the Gray Cells, uh, I know that this has to be a solopreneurship. This has to be something where I want to earn my own money. I want to put in the revenue back into the business and ensure that I'm also making money for myself and helping entrepreneurs down the line.
Yeah, very well said, ma'am. It's lovely to hear how you want to give back to the new age of entrepreneurs that is coming in. Ma'am, as we wrap up this insightful conversation, I'd love to hear about your journey with Directors Institute. You've been involved with us for some time now. How has the experience been? And were there any standout moments or key takeaways that have had a really big impact on your professional growth?
So I would just like to quote an incident here that when I was appointed as a director in Fintoo, the IT arm of Fintoo, I was appointed as a director. Uh, I didn't know that there was so much that was going to go into the KRA that was expected out of me. And and frankly, whatever I learned about directorship was in my role as a director at Fintoo. And it was at that time that I realized that there is a lot more to it than learning on the job. There is a lot more that I should actually go down to the books and learn. And then I will be able to contribute very effectively in my role as a director. And that is when I, joined Directors Institute, and I was introduced to the learning platform and stuff. And I thought, yeah, piece of cake. I have been a director, and this is piece of cake. I can get qualified within no time. And I think that was the key moment when I looked at everything and I realized that 90% of this I'm not qualified to, understand today. So it was an eye opener for me, and I was very happy that I joined and I got to learn all these, other aspects of corporate governance. And even though I was a digital director, I still understood that, what goes into being a digital director, whatever I had learned was on the job. This actually formalized my learning in a very good, systematic kind of a way. And I think that is a very big way that the Directors Institute is contributing, to the society by enabling people like me who have been there, done that. But it has formalized education for us at this age. At this point of time in our lives, we are learning so many new things. So
Yeah.
I think that is really commendable. That the kind of way that we are learning it, and uh, you know. The requirement that yes, I have to give this mock exam on the website and stuff. So that is really, taking me back to my days when I've started learning sections and I've started learning things to ensure that I am qualified as a director, in any other role that I may take up in the future.